A Hunter in Teyvat, Chapter 107. Fan Fiction, by Azazyel. Fuck the cold. Lumine screamed loudly as she tucked her hands under Eula's arms and made the Spindrift Knight squeal as the blonde's icy hand stole what little warmth was under her arms. You reprobate. I will drown you again, I swear it. Eula cried out as she unsuccessfully tried to force her way out of Lumine's grabby hands. But the antics only stopped as Paimon spoke up loudly over the howling winds. As they had climbed all the way up to the activated winter pillar of the Dragon's Pine Mountain, and now the eternal winter storms had seemingly been cut off due to them destroying several odd winter crystals that had been protected by the Abyss Order. Wow! Paimon can see Inazuma and the Narukami shrines glow from here. At hearing Paimon's words, Lumine and Eula stopped their antics and looked over, with Lumine smiling while Eula had a wistful look cross her face as she whispered, I wonder what Jake has been up to beyond his training. Granted, his actual weapon proficiency was very poor, but in terms of elemental power he was even more powerful than you, Lumine. Instead of responding to that, Lumine hummed and then said frankly, at least 2. Maybe 3. Both Eula and Paimon looked at Lumine in confusion, and the immortal traveler shook her head with a bell-like laugh escaping her as she said cheerfully, Oh, I am just guessing how many maidens Jake must have seduced while we were gone. I am assuming that sheltered Shinha will certainly fall in love with him. But also it's possible that Guizhong, who literally lives in his soul, will also fall for him. Lumine, at seeing her two friends' bland expressions, shrugged and said, and who knows? There could also be a third or even a fourth, who knows? As Noelle definitely had a crush on him from when he helped, he did a bunch of cooking and he didn't hesitate to make use of her as his maid. Eula rolled her eyes and said flatly, Jake is a good man. Although it's possible some maidens may have fallen for him, he wouldn't set down roots and spread his seed. Eula spat out at the end in embarrassment at the thought of him doing something like that in Mondstadt. As it was entirely possible actually in her mind. Jake was literally a conduit to the divine, with his weird ability to host the dead divines in his soul, so Barbara, being a nun, could fall to his charm in channeling divinity. Jean, due to Lumine and his help, was heavily indebted and was entirely too friendly with him. Entirely too friendly to Eula's taste, and under her name as a Lawrence, she refused to play second fiddle to a Gunhildr. Amber and Noelle, also being more outgoing, were also charmed by him, with Noelle offering her home to Jake all the time. And the worst of them all, Lisa and her cuties act around Jake. Eula shuddered as her body shivered, not at the cold but at the reflexive, painful memory of Lisa's very clear displeasure at Lumine for literally selling Jake off for millions of mora. Lumine hummed and then said frankly, Oh, he is definitely the person to settle down. It's something I love and hate about him. I love him to pieces and accept him, but I myself can't stand the idea of settling down anywhere permanently. But his willingness to merge and mingle with any area and their cultures are frankly better than my own. Paimon loves going to new places to try their new food. But Paimon also misses having Jake with us as we eat. Lumine, can we head back to Liyue to see if we can get any news about Jake? Maybe even head directly to Inazuma? Paimon asked somewhat quietly. The traveler didn't hesitate at all and said with a wide smile, All right, Paimon, that sounds good to me. How about you, Eula? You ready to go hunt down our man? To which Eula looked down from the massive pole they had climbed up and seemingly overlooked the world, with the very city of Liyue's coastline filling the night sky just at the horizon of her view. Yes. From here we can probably glide halfway through Liyue if Barbados's winds favor us. Plus, I want to check in with the Liyue Qixing. I am curious as to know what has happened with Child. Eula said, first with some anticipation but then more seriously, with Lumine partly losing her smile at the reminder. Okay. Let's go. Paimon will fly beside you, Lumine, hee. Paimon cheered as she flew outwards a good bit past the large rod flying in the sky above the Dragon's Pine Mountain's tallest peak, Without any other words being shared, Lumine and Eula sprinted forward at their greatest speed to get the best speed for them to glide at high speed down into the land of Liyue. Next 10 chapters are on Patreon and Ko-Fi. Hey, if you like this and want daily uploads and to read early chapters, please drop a tip in my Ko-Fi https://ko-fi.com/Azazyel22926 or https://www.piatre-un.com/Azazyel, and your precious energy stones. It keeps me working on it. My commission rate is $15 per 1,000 words.